Hey, I'm ChristopherJMUA and welcome back to my channel. Unless you have never been here, of course, then welcome. I'm so glad you've stopped by. Today, we get to review the Colourpop The Full Beat Blending Sponge Kit. We are going to dive into all 5 of these beautiful sponges here and figure out if they're going to be worth your money and which one you might need. So if you want to know more about every sponge that's in this set, what the differences are, what the benefits might be for you and for your makeup, then stay exactly where you are, keep doing exactly what you're doing, and keep on watching. Now guys, I debated over and over again exactly how I was going to film this video because 5 sponges would insinuate 5 makeup applications. And that's what I was going to do. I was going to film 5 different applications, I guess, with each sponge, but I realized that each sponge is really kind of the difference of preference. So what we're going to do is I'm going to read you the description of each sponge so that you know exactly what I know about them. And then I'm going to kind of break down my thoughts on them so that you know kind of just what all sponges Colourpop has, what they carry, what options you have whenever it comes to these sponges, and which one or ones you might prefer. Now this entire sponge set for all of them was $20. They don't have it on their website anymore. I don't know if they're ever going to have it on their website again. I just know that it's not there now. And as you can see, this consists of 5 different sponges. There's the velvet sponge, the detail sponge, the hourglass sponge, the complexion sponge, and the silicone sponge. The first sponge is the velvet sponge. The description on Colourpop's website says a reusable microfiber sponge with a unique flocked velvet texture that creates a flawless airbrushed look. It's latex free and is $7. Next is the detail brush. This is a reusable blending sponge with a precision tip that effortlessly blends makeup under the eyes and fits in every contour of the face. It is also latex free and $7. Next is the hourglass sponge. This is a reusable blending sponge with an hourglass shape that fits comfortably in your hand and effortlessly blends product all over. This is also latex free and $7. Next is the complexion sponge. This is a reusable blending sponge that effortlessly blends makeup into skin for flawless application. This is also $7. And the last sponge is the silicone core sponge. This is a reusable blending sponge with a unique silicone core that minimizes product absorption and is perfect to use with full coverage foundation. Also latex free and also $7. Now there's also one that they don't have in this little kit. It's called the Precision Blending Sponge, and they also have the Blending Sponge. The Precision Blending Sponge is $5 and it looks just like the silicone sponge, but it's sort of this color pink. And then there's the Blending Sponge, which is $7. And it looks just like this, but it's pink. I don't really know the difference between those two because they look exactly the same. Maybe it's size difference, not really sure. However, either way, really doesn't matter because we're not talking about those. I just want to let you know that this isn't the only sponges they have online. They also had those 2 other sponges. Now, to my thoughts, I think that whenever it comes to the real differences between these sponges, they're all pretty much gonna be the same. Only difference is going to be the size and style, aside from the silicone sponge and the velvet sponge. So whenever it comes to the detail sponge, the hourglass sponge, and the complexion sponge, they all feel about the same when it comes to their porosity. In my opinion, they all kind of resemble almost like the Real Techniques sponge. Definitely not Beauty Blender because Beauty Blender is one of those really soft sponges that takes no effort at all to squish. And it's not quite as hard as a Morphe sponge because a Morphe sponge is definitely more dense. So I would compare it mostly to a Real Techniques sponge, their standard orange sponge. And for me personally, I would probably pick myself the detail sponge because I love the shape of a teardrop because I can get right here with the point and I can use the more flat side to squish in foundation and it's wider so I get more coverage of an area. And that's why I'm excited to use the silicone sponge because it has that same concept where it's pointy here so I can still get the inner corner under my eyes for concealer, but I can also blend in my foundation and it won't absorb the excess foundation because of that silicone center. I personally have never really enjoyed sponges with this shape because I don't really get a use out of that flat side. There's really no, I guess, purpose that I've ever found for it specifically. I mean, I guess it would be fine to work under the eyes, but I do just fine with the curved side. So I don't really know a specific benefit of using the flat side of that. And whenever it comes to the hourglass shapes, I always feel like the dome with the point on top is too wide and not sharp enough for me to be able to use it right under the eye. So I feel like this would be a sponge that would be more beneficial if you're just doing all over face and blending maybe contour on the edges or some highlighter on just the high point of your cheekbone, but not really for under eye. I don't like to have to squish my sponges. I just want to be able to use it as is without having to manipulate it anymore. And that's just me. That's just my preference. And then when it comes to the Velvet Sponge, which I'm assuming they made in resemblance of the Juno Co Velvet Sponge, which is the first microfiber sponge that I knew about. I feel like they kind of paved the way with it. But I feel like this is kind of meant to dupe that, if you will. Which I guess technically the Juno Co sponge is the dupe for this one because the Juno Co is $6. This is $7. Anyway, I can say based on feeling it, the Colourpop microfiber sponge feels so much softer than the Juno Co. Now personally, the way I use my Juno Co sponges is after I finish my foundation, I go over the top of it as kind of like a finishing application so that I can make it super velvety smooth because it's perfect for that. Very, very perfect for that. Also, it is suggested that you use the Juno Co sponges dry. It doesn't say on the Colourpop website if this one should be used dry or not. I just know they typically suggest you use this one dry, which actually makes it soak up a little bit more product than if it was wet, because obviously if a sponge is wet, it's not going to absorb as much foundation because the sponge has already absorbed a bunch of liquid. It's not looking to soak up as much. So I think for me and for this application, so I can test out just kind of as much as possible and as practically as possible as I would use them, I'm going to use the silicone sponge for foundation application. I'm also going to be using my Bite Beauty Changemaker foundation because I know how this performs. I love how this performs. It is my favorite foundation right now. Then I'm going to be using the Detail Sponge to blend out my concealer under my eyes because it is so pointed and wonderful. I'm also going to be using the butt end of it to probably try and blend out my contour because I want to use a cream contour to see just how this works exactly. And for my concealer, I'm going to be using a combination of my Juvia's Place I Am Magic Concealer because it's so full coverage, and also my Shape Tape Glow Wand in the shade Alight because I love the luminescence that this brings to the skin and face. And then I'm going to go over everything whenever I'm done before I set it with the Velvet Sponge because I'm going to use it in the way that I know how to use velvet sponges or microfiber sponges and hope for the best. So I'm going to go ahead and prime my skin off camera and I'll be right back. Oh, and I forgot to tell you guys that the reason why I chose the sponges I did is because the Hourglass Sponge, the Complexion Sponge, and the Detail Sponge, all three, in my opinion, are essentially the same thing. They are just different in shape, color also, and color. So it's really just going to be a preference of if you like a sharp point with a flat edge in like a wedge like that, if you like the hourglass shape like this, which if you do, tell me why, because don't you have difficulty getting right here? Or is that just me? Or the Detail Sponge, which is probably my favorite. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Now, let's go ahead and start with our foundation. And like I said, I'm going to use the silicone sponge. I'm not really sure if I'm supposed to use, I guess, the flat side would be probably the most absorbent because the silicone sponge part is right in that center. You can't really see that, can you? Wow, nope, you can't see that. There you go. Now you can kind of see it. You can see the ridge at least. That's where the silicone center is. Oh, I really don't know how I'm gonna use this. I guess, I feel like it should be like this to cover the most surface area. Yeah, let's start like this. And you know, honestly, with this having the point on it like it does, you could use this for foundation and concealer because it can fit right here. But for the sake of, you know, trying the most sponges out as possible, I'm gonna do it like this. I am gonna start on the flat side. I can't help myself. I feel like if I start on the big side, it's gonna get messy and be everywhere. So here we go with the flat side. Why am I nervous? I feel nervous for some reason. Like everything could turn into a catastrophe and go wrong. Oh. Starting with me dropping the lid to the foundation. Maybe that was the omen. Here we go. Whew, that's kind of chilly. So much foundation. Well, it definitely does not soak up as much product at all. I feel like that's hardly soaking up any product. Wow. Okay, well let's see if we can move that. Something that's kind of strange to me and I'm curious about is why leave it open on one side? Why show the silicone? Why not just make the whole outside of the sponge and leave the inside silicone? I guess so you don't have to take their word for it and that you can actually see, hey, it is silicone. I would believe them if they told me it had a silicone center. And surely someone would cut it open. Beauty News would. They would cut it open. Does the Colourpop silicone sponge really contain silicone? See, the real question is going to be, did my foundation go further than what it would have using any other sponge? I feel like there's still so much foundation right over here where I first applied it, and it's not really moving. I love that since I chose to use the butt end, it has that super sharp edge, so I can use that right along my eyeshadow line, but I can also use it really anywhere, the sharp edge. Now, so far, I do actually feel like I'm getting more coverage. I feel like I'm getting about the same coverage as I would with a brush, but I'm getting the finish of a sponge because it's still able to put down that nice airbrush to look that a sponge does, but since it's not soaking up so much foundation, it's going further. Okay. I like this so far. Only problem is it wasn't enough foundation to carry all the way over to down here and my neck, so I still gotta do that. I don't know why, but I have been breaking out, well, it's razor burn, but I've had more razor burn right along here in the last social distancing than I have for a long time. Maybe it's because I sleep more now. Maybe that's why. Now for this part, I'm just gonna put it on this cheek first since I started on the other side. And we're gonna cover up all this razor burn. It won't exist anymore. What razor burn? I don't have razor burn. I don't have to shave. My hair just grows naturally in a goatee. Now it is time to conceal. Don't feel, and I'm just gonna take this right here and right here. And then gonna take the Shape Tape Glow Wand. Great product, by the way. I'm gonna take that over here and over here and here and here and here, here and here and here. You can already see, I know it's hard to see it, but can you see the reflection that that has? That stays there. Oh wait, I forgot. And here.
Feel, don't let them know. But now they know.
So now it's time to use the detail sponge. And we're gonna go in and just start blending out concealer as soon as my hair is out of the way. Oh yes, that point is perfect. So perfect. Oh, I love that. I mean, why can't we just make sure that every sponge has a sharp point to it, you know? I guess there are people that don't actually take their concealer all the way up to their lash line, now that I think about it. So maybe it does make sense that there are some that aren't quite so pointy. Oh, this is so perfect though. This is literally the sponge that if I just was given that box and said pick one, this is the one I would have picked. I just love the shape of this. It's so practical, gets the job done. It's got a bulbous butt. And when it comes to sponges, I like big butts and I cannot lie. Oh man, do you see that? Do you see how beautiful that looks? Okay, I'll be quiet now. This is not a review of the Shape Tape Glow Wand, but man, I love it. And you know what? I lied. I said I wasn't going to use the complexion sponge, but I am. Because I want to use it on my contour and highlight. Because I've already used the other two sponges. One for all over foundation application, which was nice. One for concealer application and blending out, which was also nice. But I don't want to take the point of my concealer sponge and make it all gross with contour and cream highlight. So why not use another sponge? And I have my flat edge so that I can use it for contour and my non-flat edge so that I can use it for highlight? Question mark? So let's find out if this works. I'm gonna use my Huda Beauty Tantour Contour and Bronzer Cream in the shade Fair, and we're just gonna go right in. I'm gonna take just the tip And ooh, that was not the most seamless gathering of product, but that's okay. Let me take a little bit more, but just the tip this time. Okay, I feel like that's just the tip. And we're just gonna start going in. As soon as I figure out where the edge of this thing is, I'll probably be able to control it a little bit. Wow, why is that actually looking really, really nice? It's kind of helping it just melt into the skin, and because of that flat edge that it has, I can really get precise at the jawline, kind of. And this sponge also has a nice butt. It's sharp enough. I can contour the lip with it, which is really nice. Wow, okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, maybe that was a little much, or maybe a lot of much, but that's okay, that's okay. I'll survive. Oh, just the blend. The blend is so good. I did take it a little low again though. I've got to learn where the edge of this is, but I'll get there. I'll get there. Practice makes perfect. Oh my goodness, I hit pan. Wow, that's impressive. Wow. Now let's see if we can get a nose contour. I'm gonna try to use just the little edges of the circle thing here. I don't know how it's gonna work, but we're gonna try. Is that applying anything? I feel like maybe I used not enough contour. Well, yeah, no, I didn't. Okay, I'm just gonna take the point, actually, because I'm worried. Wow. I'm actually loving this for contour. Yep. And since we have our bronziness and contouriness completed, we can now go in with our Charlotte Tilbury Darling Beauty Light Wand Easy Highlighter. This is in the shade Spotlight. If you haven't tried one of these liquid highlighters, it's beautiful. Especially if you have amazingly perfect skin, it's even more beautiful. So like, you know, no, I'm just kidding. This is just one of those perfect things for someone if you don't set your makeup, or you just use a highlighter every day, like a cream highlighter, or you just use like a tinted moisturizer every day. This is something that would be perfect for you because it sits on the skin so beautifully. You'll see, you'll see. Oh yes. I'm gonna put this up the nose as well. Then, whatever's left on the little sponge tip, because I always like to clean it off, but I don't like wasting product, I'm gonna use the clean side of the sponge and just dab it off over here so that I can coat the sponge in a highlighter as well as clean off the sponge tip. And that's how we find creative solutions for less waste. And now, let's just see if this sponge will blend in this highlighter. Oh, that is just beautiful. Then if we take it too high, we can just flip the little sponge over, use the contour side again, blend it in. Do you see that? Oh yeah. Wonderful, darling, wonderful. Now that I have this absolutely stunning glow, it's time to cover it up with setting powder. It won't cover up all of it, but it will cover up some of it. However, before I set my face completely, I am gonna go in with the Velvet Sponge, which I did wet because I don't want it absorbing all the product on my face. I feel like if I went in with it dry, it was just gonna suck it all up, you know? So I'm going to go in with it wet and just pat over everywhere. I'm gonna use the flat side of it for the lighter areas of my face, like where I put concealer, forehead, cheeks, that sort of thing. Actually, it's probably not picking up enough product for it to matter, so I am gonna just use the same side everywhere. Oh, I just love that finish. It literally takes any uneven texture or any, I don't know, like weirdness or creasing even that you had, gets rid of it for you, at the same time as giving just a literal velvet texture to your skin, because those little bitty threads of fiber get into that foundation and into your pores and just makes it look just so beautiful. It just looks beautiful. I don't really know any other words to say. It's beautiful. And last, gonna blend out under eye creasing with the detail sponge very quickly, just so I make sure I don't set a crease, because I've done it before and it's not good. It does not look pretty. In fact, one might say it looks the opposite of pretty. Okay, under eyes are blended out. Now I'm gonna go into my Laura Mercier translucent setting powder with the same detail sponge. Oh, that is perfect. I can get right in that inner corner. Wow. And I am also going to take the clean butt end and set my forehead, because I have to set my forehead. That is probably the fastest I have ever been able to set my forehead, just because it's such a wide butt. I keep wanting to call it that, but I don't know what else to call it. And gonna use still the same sponge and go ahead and bake on my jawline. The point on this sponge is so sharp. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, well, as far as the sponges go, that is it for the makeup application that they are going to take part of. So the rest of the work I need to do is gonna be with, oh, I should have used a cream blush. It's too late now, I'm already baking my jaw. Bummer. Oh well. Anyway, that's the last of it that we can do with the sponges. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish off the rest of my makeup, get my full face done, and I will be right back to give my final thoughts on the Colourpop The Full Beat Blending Sponge Kit. So I'll see you in just a second. And we're back. Got all the other face products applied, got my eyes finished off, and I think I'm ready to give you guys my final verdict on the Colourpop The Full Beat Blending Sponge Kit. I think with what I tried, they're pretty good. I mean, for $7, no, wait. Okay, if you think about the fact that a beauty blender is $20. Now, wait a minute, wait. Okay, so a beauty blender is super soft. I have never felt any other sponge like a beauty blender. I'll be honest with that, there is nothing else like a beauty blender. Once I find it, I will let you know. But so far, I've not found a dupe for a beauty blender. But for a sponge, these are really great sponges. I still think my favorite is the detail sponge. This little teardrop shape is just perfect to me. The sharp point is perfect for getting in the little under eye spaces, and the butt of the sponge is perfect for blending out big areas on the skin for foundation. I think it's great. Now my second pick would probably be the silicone sponge. I think it's so cool that this has silicone in the middle and it helps on foundation waste and keeps you from using too much product too fast. And I actually did notice a difference. My foundation spread farther than what it normally does. It spread like it does with a brush, but it was still able to soak up any excess because it still has the sponge on the outside of it, which is really cool. I like the idea of this. Honestly, this probably should be my first pick because it would save me money on using foundation, but I like the teardrop more. But I do like the fact that this can still get right up in the inner corner and blend out the concealer like it should. So this one would still be my second pick. If I was giving this like a rating system, it would be my second. Then my third is the complexion sponge. I didn't think I had a purpose for the little wedge cutout on the side. I never really found a need for that specifically until today. This little flat side is perfect to get right here, right in this little, I don't know, this contoury area where you would want to make this C for contour. It is perfect for that because you have the flat side to really press into the skin and spread out that product, but then you still have the other side to be able to use for your concealer or your cream highlighter, and you can still use the butt for your foundation to spread farther. I think this would probably be the best all-around sponge if you wanted to use it for all different areas and still being able to keep it separate to use it on those areas versus what I normally do, which would be use the sponge for concealer on one side, then the other side of it for the bronzer and contour on the other, and then the foundation for the butt. If you want to keep it more separated, I think this would be the way to go because of that flat edge that it has. Then the fourth sponge that I would rank would be the velvet sponge, because this one is different than the Juno Co sponge in my opinion. This one functioned really well wet, and the Juno Co sponge, I don't feel like it does function the same wet. I feel like there's just something different about it that makes it, I don't know, it just doesn't work as well with it being wet. This one did. This one still moved foundation around enough that I could kind of even everything out, but it also picked up some excess foundation, not as much, but a little bit, so I could tell that it kind of lifted up some of that shine that I still had left. And I don't know, this one kind of just surprised me. I feel like I could actually use this for foundation application and not just for picking up the foundation in the end. So I feel like I could still give this a rank for foundation. Normally, I would rate this last because I feel like it's more like a finishing tool, but for the Colourpop version, I feel like it could still rank up there with foundation application. However, for under eyes, I don't think this would work really well. That's why it's getting 4th, because I feel like under eye blending is essential when it comes to trying to use a sponge for your makeup application. And that's why it's getting a low ranking. 4th, to be exact, because I don't see how you can fit it under here. You could turn it sideways and get close, but you're still not gonna get right in the inner corner because it doesn't have that point on it. And then last, but certainly least, is the Hourglass sponge. Poor guy. I'm sorry, Hourglass purple sponge, but you just didn't make the cut this time. So this one, for me, just all round as a whole, isn't the greatest. I feel like the only thing this is good for, I guess, is for foundation blending. Yes, it may be comfortable to hold in the hand because of the Hourglass shape, which would be great for foundation, maybe even for blending out contour and maybe some highlighter on the cheekbone, but for under eye application, for me personally, that is a must, and I can't get right here. If I did, I'm gonna get all up in here and make a mess, and that doesn't work for me. You know, the way I do my makeup, I've got to get to my under eyes, and this just doesn't do that. Probably great for foundation, but I wouldn't buy this one individually, personally. This is just me and my opinion. So take that as far as you will. Take it with a grain of salt if you want. Take it with a grain of cinnamon if you like, even finer. But that's all my thoughts on the whole sponge collection. But what do you guys think? Which one was your favorite? Did you like the velvet, the detail, the Hourglass, the complexion, or the silicone the most? Which one would you buy? I will leave all of the sponges linked down below so that you can check them out if you want to. None of it is affiliated. Man, I wish. I don't have a super secret special code that you can use with Colourpop. Man, I wish. But let me know in the comments as to what you guys think, which sponge you like the most. If you've tried a microfiber sponge, what you thought about it when you did. If you haven't, would you now? Go ahead and leave me a thumbs up if you want to, if you liked the video. It helps me out a whole lot. YouTube's algorithm really does like a thumbs up. It tends to suggest the video to other people if it does have a lot of thumbs up, so I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you like this look and you want to see more looks like them, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. My username is the same for everything. It's just ChristopherJMUA. And if you gain nothing out of this video, if you gain nothing out of any of my videos, please at least gain this, and that is to always remember and to never forget that you are absolutely beautiful. And I love you guys. Bye.